G'day everyone, welcome back to another weekly tipping video on the channel. Today I'm going to be going over my tips for round 12 of the 2024 AFL season. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're going to enjoy, and let's start as always with how I went last week. Okay, so my tips from round 11, I managed to get another 7 out of 9, so back-to-back weeks of 7 out of 9s, which is pretty good. So the tipping form has been quite decent as of late, top 44% according to ESPN.com. I went a roughie though right away with the Dogs. I felt they would come to play and play some good footy under the leader Marvel, and they certainly did, but the absence of Richards and also Norton as the game wore on really did hurt them, but the Swannies just really put them to the sword with pressure and ball movement and efficiency as well, and they maintained their spot on the top of the table. Went with the Pies, backed them away from home, even with their injuries. I just feel like they're still a well-drilled team and they're playing some great footy, and wow, I mean, what a crazy finish this was. They were leading by around 4 goals with 6 minutes to play, and the Doc has made a crazy comeback and a draw in the end, so everybody wins with that tip. Backed in the Blues against the Suns, just can't trust Gold Coast away from home, or away from, or south of the border, I should say. And then with Port Adelaide, another easy tip there against the Kangaroos. They are still winless. Went with Geelong though at 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐎𝐥𝐝. I did give JDOD credit with this one, feeling like they could snatch it, but just at home I felt Geelong would come to play. Cameron back into the team, but yeah, geez, they are having a bit of issues. And yeah, back to Essendon against the Tigers. I felt this one would be a little bit closer than what people would expect, and we definitely did see that, but the Tigers just lacking a bit of the firepower up forward. And then the Sunday games got them all correct, which you'll have to see. Hawthorn against Brisbane backed them in. Yeah, the Lions seem to struggle against the Hawks these last couple of seasons, so happy to get that Hawthorn tip correct at home. And then yeah, Melbourne against the Saints and Adelaide against the Eagles were all pretty straightforward tips. So 7 out of 9 it was for round 11. Okay, quick look now at my tipping competition leaderboard updates. Nobody got themselves a 9 out of 9. A lot of people did get themselves an 8. And currently who's leading my competition still is Magpies FX, but we do have a joint leader at the moment with Hammer Time 𝐼𝐴𝐴𝐷 !Z. What a name that is. They're both leading my comp with a score of 94. Righty everyone, let's now start with our tips for round 12. So we're back to the bye rounds once again. So 4 teams, the Lions, GWS, North Melbourne, and also the Swans do have their byes this week. So just the 7 games upcoming. We start Thursday night footy with a tasty matchup here. Port Adelaide versus the Blues at the Adelaide Oval. Well, Port Adelaide, they have been disappointing in a couple of primetime games so far this year, dropping the game against the D's, and their awful display against Adelaide a few of those weeks ago in the showdown. So is it a chance for the Blues to continue the theme of themes to head over to Adelaide and knock off the pair? And they're every chance to. Port Adelaide still see them as a bit of a vulnerable side, bit of a beatable team, especially with how Carlton play with that heavy contested style. If they're able to get the game on their terms and get them out the back with some end-to-end plays, well, yeah, they are a very beatable team, the pair. Blues last week much better though against the Suns. Their contested beasts of Sam Walsh and Cripps really got to work, and yeah, they were just elite from the stoppage and just winning so many of those centre clearances. So hey, this is going to be critical importance if they do want to get up against the pair. Try and beat them on the inside, because that's where Port Adelaide have been quite good as of late though. 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼 has been in sensational form. Zach Butters has been singing along and chugging along very nicely too. If this game was at the MCG or Marvel Stadium, I'd feel pretty bullish backing in the Blues here, but given it's at Adelaide Oval, it's probably one of those tips where I just got to back in the home team here of Port Adelaide. The Blues rarely win at the Adelaide Oval. I know they beat Freo there earlier this season, but that was their first win ever at the AO. So Port Adelaide usually are able to flex their muscles at home. For the Blues though, got to be strong in the contested game for any chance to win this in my eyes, but I think Port Adelaide are should be able to kill them a bit on the outside. They've got some players in really good form. Horn Francis, how do you stop him? Butters, Wines, etc. Dixon back in the fold should really help them too, as well as Soldo. So I'll be going with Port Adelaide here, but I'm not really convinced on either side at the moment. But given it's at home, Port should find a way to be too good here for the Blues. So we'll go Port Adelaide by 3 goals, 18 points. Friday night footy now. We've got another good looking matchup here. The Pies taking on the Western Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. Well, it should be said, both teams are currently going over a few injury woes, especially Collingwood. They've been probably, half their best 22 almost now is out of the side. No Hoskin Elliott, no Jeremy Howe, now no DeGold for a month. I saw Joey Richards, who had a great game last week. I think it was his 3rd game ever. He's now out of the team too. So just a lot of unfortunate carnage happening at the Pies. And The same can almost be said for the Bulldogs. They unfortunately lost Aaron Norton and also Ed Richards, who was dominating the Swannies in that first half last week. Richards out with concussion, Norton I think out with that knee injury for around 4 to 6 weeks, I'm pretty sure. But it must be said, even with all the injuries Collingwood are having, they are still playing some really impressive footy. They're still playing their brand really, really well of high pressure, and their clearance game, for the most part, against the Dockers, against a Fremantle midfield, was still very good. The Dockers have one of the best midfield groups in the competition, so that does give me good hope. How that fare against the Western Bulldogs, because their contested game was through the roof against the Swans last week, so it's a battle of the midfield groups, I do feel, with this game, who can get on top. Collingwood, though, it's hard to go against them in general because just how they're playing at the moment. They haven't lost since March, so when will the cookie crumble for them? Is it maybe this week against the Bulldogs side, who are absolutely hungry for a win? Dropping that game last week, they'd be pretty disappointed because they did dominate on many different areas of the game against the Swannies. Do like the Bulldogs with this tip here. I tipped them last week against the Swans, so surely they bounce back and pick up the win here. But the Pies haven't lost since March, and I just think they continue to find ways to win, even with all their outs. So I'll back in Collingwood here at Marvel Stadium, but watch out for the Doggies. I think they could be breathing fire with this game. I mean, 𝐼𝐵𝐻𝐴GEN had a good game last week, and I think forward to centre, they do have the damaging options too. And even their role players like Garcia and Riley West had good games as well. So they have a chance to knock off the Pies here with their injuries, but I'll back in Collingwood. Well-drilled team. They're going well at the moment, even if they're out. So, yeah, Collingwood will win this game. We'll go a close one. The Pies by 13 points. For the Saturday games now, first one up, we do have Hawthorn taking on the Adelaide Crows at the MCG. Well, Hawthorn were awesome last week against the Lions, and the last month of footy has been absolutely fantastic. How much do we trust them, though, the Hawks? They are still a young and rebuilding team. Look how they kicked off the start of the season. They were awful, but where they've been great, as I've said the last 2 weeks, is their ground level game's been remarkable. I think I saw last night on Footy Classified, they had ranked the #1 team for the ground level game post clearance. So when the ball goes out of the centre or out of congestion, they're usually first to it, which is just a massive benefit to have, because you need to obviously win a lot of first possession to be successful. So yeah, that's where Hawthorn are really dominating. 𝐼𝐶 back in the team as well, had a good game. So they're starting now to get some players returning. But when you look at the Adelaide Crows, they are another team that's sitting in the bottom 8 or so that have been improving the last month or so. They could have won that game against the Pies, but just a really confidence-boosting win against the Eagles should get their confidence up and about a wee bit. They are one of the top ball movement sides. I think they're quite highly ranked from points from defensive halves for the last 6 weeks or so. So, yeah, the ball movement's been really improving. I think in the trenches, Crouch and Dawson have been really good, and they rested Soligo last week, so he should be raring to go for this game, or they subbed him out, to rest him. Like the Hawks with this tip, I've been really impressed by how they have been playing, but I think on the bigger ground, Adelaide could really take them to the sword with their ball movement. Yeah, I'll back in Adelaide with this game. Really could go either way. Both teams are in good form at the moment, but I am liking the Crows a little bit more for this game, and surely they can get the monkey off the back. They've lost the last couple of games of the MCG, so surely they do it here against the Hawks. So Adelaide win this game of football, and we'll go the Crows. Yeah, tight game this one. A lot of league changes, but Adelaide get the chocolates by 11 points. Next game up, Saturday afternoon, we have got the Eagles taking on the Saints at Optus Stadium. Now, what an interesting matchup this is. For the first time in quite a long time, the Eagles are actually favourites, not against North Melbourne. It is against the Saints. Their last month of footy has been absolutely horrid, St Kilda. The last 5 weeks, they have dropped 4 games, and their only win came against North Melbourne, which was a pretty stock standard win. So when's the next victory going to come? Because it isn't looking like it's going to be arriving anytime soon. It's a chance against West Coast here, but we all know at the moment they are different gravy over there in Perth. They have been dominant. They beat Melbourne, only 2 weeks ago. Harley Reid dominated, and 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 now back into the team, which should certainly help them with their midfield game. Hard to get on the Saints at the moment. Their ability to score has been woeful. Going inside 50, they just can't mark. They can't win the ball at ground level in their forward 50. When it goes inside 50, it comes out way too easily. So I just can't trust the Saints at the moment. I was bullish on them heading into this year, that they'd still be that sort of 6 to 10 sort of range aside. But they're not looking like it at all at the moment. Probably a team that's also low on morale. Young players not really developing or hitting their strides as what we thought this year too. So yeah, Eagles, they're different gravy in Perth. They should find a way to beat up on the Saints here, who are just out of form. So, yeah, backing in the Eagles here. This is probably the first time this season I'm backing in West Coast with some sort of confidence. So, yeah, I know they were awful last week, but at home we've seen they can play awful away, but then they bounce back at home. So the Eagles should find a way to knock over the Saints here, and they'll win this one by 22 points. Then for Saturday night footy, we do have Geelong taking on the Tigers down there at 𝐓𝐻𝐵A Stadium. Geez, when was the last time the Tigers played down in Geelong? Probably has been quite some time. But yeah, the Cats, well, 4 losses in a row, so they haven't been going too crash hot. They've been really soft in the midfield. They haven't really been able to win a lot of clearance, and they've started off games really disappointing the past few games as well. But look how they went against the Giants when they got that momentum going. They were able to win a lot of the contested ball, but their inside 50 use was very uncharacteristic last week versus GWS. Not really like them blowing a lot of their chances inside 50. But Richmond were very competitive last week against Essendon. They just really lacked that, I think, forward firepower inside 50. No Lynch really did hurt them. They weren't able to really get those contested marks and score a lot off it. So how they fare here against the Cats? Can't really be seeing Geelong going 5 losses in a row. If they were versing a better side, I probably could see it. But Richmond, they'll be competitive this game, I feel. I reckon they can make this game not a blowout, given how they went last week. But yeah, Geelong, I think, just beat them on the outside, beat them with class. So yeah, Geelong win this game. Pretty straightforward tip here. We'll go the Cats by 15 points, but still want to give the Tigers some respect here. I think they can make this game competitive. But yeah, Geelong by 15. Sunday games now. We do have Melbourne taking on the Fremantle Dockers over there at TIO Traeger Park in Alice Springs. Well, Melbourne, their confidence will be boosted with a good win over the Saints. It was a bit of how should I put it? Inaccurate start from both teams, but yeah, Melbourne were able to claw away with a convincing win. 𝐼𝐶𝐞 was, yeah, pretty good, pretty damaging. Max Gawn was awesome with 20 plus disposals and dominated Rowan Marshall in the headout. So can he do the same to Shaun Dux this Sunday? Behind the footy, no Jake Lever, no worries at all, because I've got a guy by the name of Adam Tomlinson who had his probably best game I ever saw him play. He was just picking off everything behind the footy. So yeah, with probably how Fremantle go with their forward structure, yeah, they're probably a chance to just kick it to Adam Tomlinson all day, every day. So, yeah, for the Dockers, they really need to improve their forward 50 structure. It's just on and off a little bit. They looked like a bottom fork team against Collingwood last week, but then they start off the game very well and finish off the game very well with moving the football a lot better. So, yeah, they're going to have to really improve how they move the footy, I do feel, against Melbourne, because defensively they are still very good. So it feels like it should be a straightforward tip here going with Melbourne. You know, the better team on paper, but I'm feeling pretty bullish about Fremantle. I know I did say before that how they move the footy can be very inconsistent and very boring and not putting a lot of points on the board. But Fremantle have been able to play some really good games of footy the past few seasons against Melbourne, especially at the MCG. And I'm feeling it, one of those games coming up once again for the Dockers. You know, they'll be disappointed how they were beaten easily in the midfield by Collingwood as the game did wear on. And also with it being pretty warm conditions over there in Alice Springs, I think it will suit the Dockers here. So, yeah, I'm going to be going against the grain tip here with Fremantle. I think they will find a way against the D's. They are still probably a bit of a vulnerable side, Melbourne, given they dropped that game against the Eagles. So, yeah, Fremantle have been able to knock off the Demons the past few times. I think they'll do it once again. So the Dockers win a close one by 8 points. And then the final game of the round, we do have the Suns hosting the Bombers at Heritage Bank Stadium. The Suns yet to lose at home, or yet to lose north of the Queensland border so far this season. They've been epic at home, but away they have looked like a completely different side. But I tell you what, this is probably a season-defining game coming up for Essendon, because if they're able to knock off the Suns, they just maintain that spot in second, and it just feels like one of those games where if Essendon are able to win, this just shows terrific character, terrific merit, terrific just resilience, because it's a hard destination to knock off the Suns over there in Gold Coast. Will be a really interesting game though, however, because both teams' midfields have been their strong point this season. Anderson, 𝐼𝐶 Miller and Rowley in there love to win clearances, especially in those muggy and hot conditions up there in the Gold Coast. And as for Essendon, led by Zach Merritt, we've been seeing some great natural development and growth of 𝐻𝐿 𝐎𝐥𝐿 and also Sam Durham, and some career players finding some career best form, like Langford and also Jake Stringer forward of centre too. They're a really well-oiled machine at the moment, Essendon. Behind the footy, Mackay's been awesome, and also Ridley. He came back with his first game and he was epic, just intercepting everything behind the ball, and his kicking out of defensive 50 was remarkable. So, yeah, Essendon are definitely the better team at the moment, and I think if they just continue their method, continue how they are going, their pressure's been really good as well. They've been able to be a great side from stoppage too. They should win this game of football, but yeah, Gold Coast, you still got to give them their flowers because at home they have been epic this year too. This is a really hard one. Probably going to be backing in Gold Coast here just because it's at home for them. They're yet to drop a game either in Darwin or at Gold Coast. So I'll back in the Suns here. They're still a team you want to respect. Same with Essendon too. If this game was at Marvel, I'll be all day, every day going with the Dons here. But yeah, this is a game I could definitely see Essendon winning. I think this one will have a lot of lead changes, but the Suns will just pip the Dons in the end because their midfield game up there in the Gold Coast has been very, very good. So I think they'll find a way to knock off the Dons here. So we've got Gold Coast by a close one of 9 points. So overall, there are my tips for round 12 of the 2024 AFL season. Feel free to let me know your tips down below in the comments section. I always love to hear your people's opinions. A lot of 50-50 games I feel this week, so yeah, a lot of season-defining games coming up for sure too. Hopefully you did enjoy, everybody, and until next time, I will talk to you later. See you later, fellas.